We are told table 2 shows lunch preferences for 195 students when taken out for 3 different trips. Use it to answer the question that follows. So we have our table. This is our table. Then we are told to represent this information in a clustered column chart. So we are representing the information in a clustered column chart. So this is how you do it. So remember, when you are drawing any chart or any graph, you have to indicate the 2 axes and label them. Then you have also to indicate the title and label the various columns, or if it is a line graph, you indicate the equation which is formed by the line. So clustered column chart looks like this. So we shall have each of these 3 trips. Each trip will form a group of columns, each column representing pizza, hot dog, and hamburger. So we have, first we draw the x and y axis. Let's have our x and y axis. Then after that, this graph, the title, we can give the title as students lunch preferences. Student lunch preferences. Then our y-axis will represent the number of students, and our x-axis will represent our trips. So in this case, we have the highest value in our table is 91 and the lowest one is 28. So we can have a scale of 1 centimeter to represent 10 students. So in the real graph paper, you can have one big square or 1 centimeter to represent 10 students. So in this case, we shall have, here we have 0, you can have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, sorry, this is 60, we have 70, 8, 90, then we have 100 because we have 91. Then in our x-axis, for example, let's draw for trip 1. For trip 1, we draw for pizza. We have 50. Pizza is 50. So we draw up to where we have 50. Then you can shade. Let's have our key. We can have our pizza. We can shade it like that. We can have our hot dog. We can shade it with X. And our other item, we can shade it with zeros. So this is hot dog. And this is our hamburger. So we have this column for pizza. Then the other one is 85, which is hot dog. Remember, we are in trip 1, so we draw 85. And we shade this with our axis. Then under trip 1, the third column will represent value 60. So you draw where we have 60. You draw 60. Once you finish, these 3 columns will represent trip 1. So you label those 3 columns as trip 1. Remember, you have the key. You have to write the key so that the columns can be identified. So these 3 columns can be said to be clustered, and that is why it is called clustered column chart. So the 3 are clustered. So we will do the same for trip 2. So you have to space now the columns in order to have the cluster for trip 2. So for trip 2, we start with pizza 70. So we draw 70. You have to use a ruler. So we draw 70. We shade it. We draw 80. We shade it. Remember, the columns should be uniform. Don't use varying widths. Then we have 45 for the other foot of trip 2. 45 is somewhere here. Let's have like that. And then we shade it. Then we label this as trip 2. Then we move to trip 3. Trip 3, we have to space so that we start a new cluster. So we have 91. We have 91. We have 91. So you have to draw 91. Then we shade it. 91, we shade it. We draw 76. 76, we have 76 somewhere there. We shade it. Then we draw 28. 28 is somewhere here. Then we shade it. And we name this as trip 3. So that is how we draw a clustered column chart.